I'm assuming you're here because you want to try out wild camping. That's great, and you definitely should, but looking at gear is an absolute minefield, and there's no point spending a fortune on gear when really you're just dipping your toes in, giving it a go, and trying to work out if it's right for you or not. Today, we're going to look at a full wild camping setup to get you started that costs just over £150. There is an option to knock about £25 off that I'll go through later, as well as a couple of optional luxury extras that you might want to add on that still only take it up to just over £170 all in. So grab yourself a cup of tea and a couple of jammy dodgers, or if you really are that impatient, I'll put some chapter links in and you can skip to the bit that you want to see. All right, so let's jump in. So here I've got a spreadsheet of the things that we want to find for our budget wild camping setup. We're going to fill this in throughout this video with all the budget items that I picked, price that they are, and there'll be some links in here as well. So the first thing is the tent. And I've gone for the Eurohike Tamar 2, which at the minute is £65, but there is a 15% off offer, which takes it to, what was it, £55.25. Now I did use this last year in my budget setup. It performed really well. It was a good tent, really spacious inside, really easy to put up, and I would definitely recommend this as an option for your starter tent. Now I will say as I go through, all these things are obviously specific items, but there might be ones that you want to swap out according to your own taste, or just what's available and what's in stock. So I think this was 40 quid last year. It's obviously gone up a bit like everything else has. I have struggled a little bit to get a full setup on or around £150 this year, just because of the way that everything's gone up in price, but we've got there, I think. So it's not the lightest tent in the world at 2.75 kilos. The pack size isn't the smallest either, but we're going to pick a decent sized rucksack or bag for you to pack everything into, so don't worry too much about that. And what we're talking about here is you getting ready to try out wild camping for your first camp, so I'm not saying hike 20-25 miles to your first camping spot. Go somewhere quite close by that you can easily get to and easily get away from if it's not for you. So that's the tent. As I said, there's a link to everything in the spreadsheet here. And now we'll move on to look at a rucksack. Probably no surprises to anyone that watches the channel. I've gone for the Eurohike Nepal 65. Again, I tried this last year. I think it was 20 quid last year, it's 25 now. This is the black one. You can get it in blue and green as well, I think. Colour doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's a really good value, decent bag that you can fit loads of stuff into. It's got pockets down the sides and separate compartment at the bottom, and it will really do you as you're getting into wild camping. So we've got a shelter, we've got something to pack the rest of our stuff into as well as a shelter. Now we need a sleep system. And for that, I've chosen a couple of items from Amazon. So we've got an inflatable mattress and a sleeping bag. So the mattress, I'm going for this cross-country ergonomic ultralight inflatable mat at £22.99. It's available in, again, different colours, but colour doesn't really matter. Sometimes on Amazon you will see that certain colours are a little bit cheaper. So for example, this one in bright orange may be a couple of quid cheaper at some point. So it's worth keeping an eye on that as well. And if you're not particularly fussed about colour, just go for the cheapest. It really doesn't matter. I've tried a few mats like this one, not this exact brand, but what you find is a lot of products like this, they're all manufactured in pretty much the same place. They just have different brand names printed on them. So you can buy 2, 3 or 4 different mats and they're actually the same thing. So I probably have tried a mat that was made in the same factory as this one, just not this specific brand. If we look at our sleeping bag, or the one that I've chosen, it's an Azark or Azark, however you pronounce it, at £20.99, and this is an example of that colour thing. So in black it's £20.99, in green it's £21.99. There's only £1 in it, but all these savings add up when you're looking at a full setup. One thing I will say is these temperature ratings on sleeping bags, take them with a massive pinch of salt or a whole bag of salt. So this is saying the comfort level 7 degrees to 20 degrees, with an extreme at -4. Now, as a rule of thumb, if it's a budget bag like this, an unbranded essentially bag, or not a well-known brand anyway, I'll probably add at least 5 degrees to that. And again, just to clarify, what I'm talking about here is your first wild camp, so I wouldn't recommend you doing your first camp in really cold weather or even rain or strong wind. You want a decent, clear, warm night where you can just go out and enjoy it. It's really important that you enjoy your first camp or your first few camps. Otherwise, you're just going to be put off the whole thing and be throwing your kit on eBay the next day. So we've got a shelter, a bag, something to sleep on, something to keep us warm in the night. we probably want to cook up some food as well. So the next thing I've got is a set that is a stove, a load of pans, and a load of other stuff as well, from a brand called Keeta or Quetta. Again, excuse the pronunciation. I've had this set before, I've had a couple of others. Again, different brands, same product. In this set, you get a couple of pans, a big one, a smaller one, you get a mug, you get the stove itself. What else have we got? Knife, fork and spoon, a little sponge, and a holder that goes onto the bottom of your gas can. So pretty much everything you need to boil up some water to make a hot drink or a meal, cook up a meal or warm up a meal in the pan, do pretty much whatever you need to do. These are really good sets for getting you started because it does include everything you need apart from the gas. And this whole thing with everything comes in at the minute at £21.89, so it is a bit of a bargain. For gas, you just want to grab yourself a canister from Go Outdoors or an outdoor shop like that with this screw top that you can see here. So your stove just screws straight onto that and away you go. There's no point buying a massive canister when you're just getting started because it's just more bulk to carry. This will probably fit inside that pan set with your stove as well. So just wrap it in a cloth, throw it in there, and that's everything you need contained in that pan set. So if we have a look at our total, with all in at the minute, we're at £152.12, which I think is a really decent price for getting started with your first wild camp. So just a couple more things to think about. One is food. You're obviously going to want to eat something while you're out on your camp. But as I said, if you're out on a nice summer night where it's warm, you might not need or want to cook hot food. One thing I've done in the past is leave the stove at home and just take some sandwiches or a meal deal or sausage roll or something like that. Just take something that you can throw in your bag and you don't have to mess about warming it up or cooking it. Now, for a lot of people, having a stove, making a hot drink and a warm meal is part of the camp. And it is for me 99% of the time as well. But if you're just getting started and you're really testing whether you enjoy being out on your own in the middle of nowhere, whether you enjoy spending the night in the middle of nowhere alone, whether you're okay in the dark, whether you can get over your anxieties about it and that sort of thing, then cooking a meal might actually add to that anxiety and that stress. So just get down Sainsbury's, grab yourself a cheese sandwich and a packet of Monster Munch and get out there. The other thing is if we take that off the price, so if I zero those out, we're getting started then for less than 125 quid. So something to think about, even if you just try it once, decide that you like it and then buy a stove afterwards. Then as I said at the start, I've got some optional extras that are things that you might want to just add in. First one is a pillow. So I've chosen a Rantizon pillow, which looks a lot like all the others really. Trekology ones, the High Kencha one that I've got. Just a little inflatable pillow, they pack down really small. This one again, different colours, different prices. Blue or green, £8.99, any other colour, £9.99, so you can grab one of those. When you don't have one, you can just scrunch up some clothes, sleep on those. A lot of the budget sleep mats and the one that I showed include a little raised bit as well for a pillow, so you don't always need one. It's just something that you might want to invest in as you get more into the hobby. Next one is a sit mat. I find a sit mat really useful. I always take one with me on every camp. And the one I've picked here is this Boulevard one. So they're really light, they fold up, you just throw it in your bag and then it's something to park your arse on basically. You can fold them in half, have them double depth, and it just means that you're not sat on the floor if it's wet or just hard or you've not got thorns sticking in your arse or anything like that. And that's £6.99. And then the final thing I've chosen is this foil Highlander mat. Now, this is really for your second, third or fourth camps, I would say. So if your first one is on a warm night in the summer, as temperatures start to drop again, if you want to carry on wild camping, the first thing that you might want to do is add a bit of insulation to your sleep system. And really the cheapest way of doing that is by adding one of these foil mats onto your system. So it provides you a bit of insulation from the ground, means that you can camp in slightly colder conditions. It won't obviously take you all the way through winter, but it's a stopgap between the mat that you've already got, adding a bit of insulation, and investing in a more insulated, more winter, full season suitable mat. So with a lot of gear, it's about taking baby steps and upgrading over time rather than going from a Eurohike Tamar 2 tent to a Hilleberg Solo or something like that. You can work your way up and build up to it and work out what kind of camping you enjoy, what kind of conditions you like to camp in, and all that kind of stuff. So if you went for all of those luxury options, you're still under £180, so £178.9p. So in general, wild camping as a hobby, it's really cheap to get started and really cheap to get into. You do end up going down the rabbit hole and spending your life studying gear and trying out different bits of gear, or a lot of us do anyway. Well, the really important things to think about, so hygiene. You want to take some sort of cloth to wash yourself with, wipe things down with. You also need something to dig a hole with if nature calls. After your first camp, you probably want to invest in a plastic trowel or an aluminium trowel pretty much straight away. For me, for an overnight camp, I don't usually need to do that. Just make sure that you go to the toilet before you go and go when you get back. Simple as. You need a rubbish bag as well, so just a normal carrier bag. Stick it in your bag, and any rubbish that you have, stick it in there and take it away. If you can carry it in, you can carry it out. The whole point of wild camping is to leave no trace, not damage the environment, and not leave litter or anything like that. And the other thing I've not spoken about is clothing. So you don't want to be camping in jeans. You probably don't want to be camping in anything cotton because you're going to be hiking and sweating, and you just end up staying wet and not drying out properly and getting cold from it. When you're getting started, if you've got some jogging bottoms, some half decent trainers, and a t-shirt or top you can wear with a jacket or a fleece or something like that, just get out there and give it a go. And then over time you can invest in more suitable clothing and walking trousers and boots and shoes and all that kind of stuff. But that's really when the sort of level investment starts to creep up. So that's my budget list for 2023. Is it any good though? Well, I've tried pretty much all of these products on previous videos myself, so check out the back catalogue on the channel. And don't just take my word for it. Any of these products, if you stick them in the search bar on YouTube, you'll probably find hundreds of reviews on each of them. So watch a few videos and get a good balanced review and a good feel for what the product's like and how it performs. If you made it this far, please consider subscribing to the channel and help me hit my goal of 627,000 subscribers by next Wednesday. Any questions at all, drop a comment on the video and I'll get back to you, and I'll see you in the next one.